We're going to come in and we're going to talk about step parenting. Because Aaron has a different twist on it. Not only is he a step parent, but he was a stepchild. So another thought that I had when me and Mariam was chopping it up or talking about this too, and I was telling Mariam about that time when I had somewhat of a little emotional breakdown.
I didn't know about this. I did not know about this. And that's outside
you don't
to interrupt
remember?
you. But this is what's a beautiful thing in life is how much I learn about you through her.
Wow.
Because some of those things don't even come up, naturally in life. And it's like relating mom to mom.
Right.
You probably divulge more to her. Not that you would hide it from me. But it's relevant to your conversation with another mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
I felt so pulled because remember, I didn't work outside the home.
Yeah.
I had a daycare.
Yeah.
And then I went and got a job. So I was working an 8-hour day job. Then I was coming home to my kids and trying to make sure my kids felt loved, and then trying to be a wife because, I'm in this new marriage and everything. But that being said, how many, 4 years in now?
To my marriage, yes.
To your marriage, 4 years.
We've been together for 8 years.
Okay, so 8 years. So did you ever, and me and Mariam talked about that too, did you ever have that time when you felt like this is too much? Or did you ever feel overwhelmed, let me say it like that?
Not per se to the point where it was a breaking overwhelm.
Okay.
There's times in the beginning when we first started talking, where it was I knew how much had to be done.
Okay.
If that makes sense, to merge our families and to be accepted here and to, actually be a family. I knew that there was work that had to be done. It never got to a fever pitch for me to where I felt overwhelmed. And I think that might be due to you and Dad and being from a larger family and having a step parent. It never really felt like that because also I was very intentional with everything that I did.
Okay.
Because when I got divorced from James' mom, and I was living in New York, we had James in New York, and I moved back home to Michigan.
Right.
So I was single for years, and while I was dating, I was intentionally only dating women with children.
Okay.
Because I knew a couple of things. One, I knew that I wasn't certain if I wanted more kids.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I knew that with the relationship that James and I had, if the woman because at this time I'm what, 33, 34, so at this time I'm thinking to myself, if I'm dating someone and she doesn't have kids and she's my age,
and she's gonna want,
her biological clock is going, and then she's gonna see the great relationship I have with my kid and say, I want that. And that's gonna be a problem. So I knew that I had to date someone with kids, and then I also knew that they would understand my situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got my son on the weekends. I can't be that's his weekend. I'm not gonna be with you. They have to understand that. And I think the only person who could completely understand that and embrace it would be a mother.
Okay. That's
so
true.
I wanted this. And then I also knew in my mind, with the advantage of having a stepchild or a bonus kid, it's I did always want more than one child.
Okay.
So I'm I wanted this.
So you wanted more kids, but they didn't have to necessarily come through you.
Right. And I actually even saw the advantages of them not. I'm paying child support. I got this going. I'm this would be perfect. No, because if I do it, then we got the tabs running. It's so much more, and then the conflicts that come from having an ex-wife and everything else, and we're in a great place. Yeah. But just it's work and it's a lot. So you knew I didn't want to be in my mind. I knew I'm I don't want 2 exes or 2 baby mamas. You know what I mean? Because it's going to overcomplicate things even more than it is now. Because now I have to manage my time with him, and then I got to coordinate my schedule with her.
Right.
And now to make sure that they both grow up together and they both hang out together, I just knew that was going to be complicated.
It was going to be complicated.
So this was like the best situation for me to be in. And I knew that. So I never felt super overwhelmed with it because it was what I wanted. But I would say the aspect of being a parent in general that gets overwhelming is we've entered into the teenager phase, and that's hard.
And they've got quite a house full almost.
Yeah, almost. And that is hard, and it brings you back because you have that full circle moment, and you are forced to look in that mirror.
Yes,
and think about what you did.
Yes.
As a child. I said it to Mariam this morning as we were talking about our teenagers and the ups and downs that we deal with them. And I said to her, I know why my mom had to be. She's like, you gotta go because you want to live your life and do what you want to do, and you're living like you're grown.
Yeah.
So that's so I understood. Yeah. And you understand because there's a harmony in your home, and your home is your sanctuary. And you have an obligation to all of your other children
to keep it that way.
Yes. And I was like, I think I was messing up that way.
You definitely was.
So I recognize that. I realize that. And with that comes some grace too. Because like, as mad as you want to be, like, why is he doing this? Why would James do this and stuff? You have to you're like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I did the same thing. So you have to understand that. Yeah. But I think that brings, that understanding brings you closer too. Because it's like, I've been there. Yeah. I've done that too. So it's a very human thing to do. And very, teenage years are rough. You know what I mean? There's so much newness of yourself that you're figuring out, like, hormones are racing, you know what I mean? You've got new interests, you like girls or whatever you are into. Yeah. All these new things are coming at you, and your body's changing, your mentality's changing, your friends are driving, you're driving. There's so many things at play. Yeah. So that's the only time it can feel like overwhelming. It's like, because we have such a variety of ages. Yeah. So like you have to just keep switching hats.
Yeah, you got like 4 teenagers really. Yeah. Under one roof, guys. That's a lot.
You got to keep switching the hat to meet each of them where they're at. Right. You know what I mean? Because you've got an 18-year-old or an adult. You know what I mean? Who you're trying to usher into being an adult, give more responsibility. Right. Different things of that nature. Then you've got the 16 and 15. Ooh. And they're boys. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you've got lessons that you're trying to teach, and you're trying to teach them work ethic. You're trying to teach them how to be a man, but then you always have to keep in the back of your mind that they're still a boy.
They're still a boy. And not only that, you've got Bowie and you got the younger one that's right there watching.
Exactly.
They're watching to see how much these teenagers are going to get away with.
Yep.
Because they're setting the bar. The other teenagers, you know what I mean? Because they'll come back and say, well, you let him do it or you let her do it.
And then you run the risk too. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
fine. You
run
the risk too of learned behavior.
Yes.
Because everybody handles everything different. And not to get too graphic, but like when our oldest, you know what I mean? If she's going through her cycle or something like that, I don't want our youngest to automatically, before she's even entered that stage, to think that this is how it's handled.
And that's
not saying that she handles it poorly, but I don't want her to premeditate these same emotions or these same oh, okay, so when I go through my cycle, then it's okay for me to be mad.
Right.
All right, I'm ready. Noted.
Right.
I'm like, and that's going to happen.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? But I want you to regulate it in your own way.
And
I don't want you to think that that's the blueprint and that's the standard and that's what's normal. Like your normal and someone else's normal are completely different things because you're different people.
Yeah.
So it's like they're watching, and I don't want them to ever think normal is what someone else is doing. Your normal and someone else's normal are two different things. I want you to be you.
Yeah, because I had my 2 girls, and that time of the month was totally different for one of them compared to the other one.
Right.
And the other one, it turned out to be a medical condition.
Right.
The reason why things were just off. You know what I mean? So I see what you're saying. Like, you don't want anything to be learned behavior or to anticipate that, oh, when it's my turn, this is what I have to expect. No, that's not what you have to expect.
Exactly.
But as you was talking to, I was thinking about when you're dealing with the boys or the teenagers and the girls as well. I was thinking about, and it came back to mind about one time when you had got in trouble in high school. And I remember going up there to the school guys. And I remember the counselor. And I was really kind of ticked off with her, really, because she said to me, did you, and I'm over there like, yeah, he shouldn't have done this and this and this and this. And she was like, did you do everything right when you was his age? I'll never forget that. I will never, ever forget that, because I was so angry at her. Like, here I am, I'm the mother, and I'm trying to get this kid to do this and do this. And she said, did you do everything right when you was his age?
Right.
And I said, what? And she goes, did you do everything right when you was his age?
Oh, I understand.
But she brought me back. She brought me back to being a kid myself, bringing me back to being a teenager. And I think the thing of it is, it's so hard, but we got to know that they're going to make mistakes.
Right.
We want our kids to be these perfect little kids that we can brag on. Oh, yeah, Billy is just knocking it out the park. He's no trouble, blah, 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 blah. But that's not life. And we're doing life over here. That's not reality. Billy's got to go through some stuff. And you're going to have to go through some stuff with Billy as a parent. You know what I mean?
And this is a testament to how time gives you wisdom.
Yes.
Because this woman, she keeps, as you've seen, if you watch any of her cleaning videos, this is not for the camera. Her home is immaculate always, right? So I'll never forget when me and Mariam got married, we built a home, right? So brand new house, right? My mom's at the house and she's like, now remember, kids are going to mess up the house. It's going to get dirty. Walls going to get marked up. I was like, what? You? No, you just said that. But no, it is true. And you do realize that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of people deal with that on the grandparent level.
Yeah.
Of seeing, like, you know, their parents.
You let go. You let down a little bit. You know, I keep my TSP on hand, you know, to wipe the walls down when the grandkids come and stuff. You know what I mean? Because I learned too that you want the house to be a home and that you lived in it.
That's what you said.
But I did also tell them, now don't forget now, this is a brand new house. So any dirt in the corner, that's your dirt. You can't say that was here when I got here.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think the reason why I teach about a home and cleanliness and stuff like that, we sold several homes, and every time we didn't have to do anything, because you got to look at your home as an investment, just like your children is an investment. And you want to teach them to value the home and value the things that are in the home, you know, because then when they go to their friends' houses or whenever they're out, you know, the furniture is not a trampoline. You know what I mean? A couch is not a trampoline. Or, you know, mark up everything and just destroy things. You know, you want to teach them the value of things that you work for, you know. But, so, it's good. Yeah. So the one thing I wanted to ask you now, I think you've kind of hinted to it and you've given us so many good nuggets, Aaron. What, now this one's you're going to have to think about, and I want to tell me, I want to go with one bad thing or a challenging thing that you thought, being a step parent, that you thought that we could have done better. And then I want you to break down one of the things that we did do that you have incorporated into your marriage. So we're going to just be real raw and honest here, guys, because we're doing life. So I know we didn't do everything right. I know there's some things that we did wrong. And so for the camera and for people, what's one of the things, you being on the other end of a step parent, that you felt like this could have been done a little bit better, or this could have been?
I think it's the bad is hard to think about, so I'll get to that. But the good thing that I will say that Dad was great at is he's fair.
Oh, okay.
I love that he never played favorites. And I love that he never made me feel like he didn't love me.
Wow.
Or that I wasn't his son. I've always felt his love and always felt like he viewed me as a son. Actually, I could fold that into the bad part.
Okay.
Because I said I've always felt his love. He had to break me down when he first came around because I wasn't used to male authority.
Right.
So
that's a good one.
Like I
remember that.
I do love him and he loves me, but I remember times I'd be in my room like he hates me and I don't like him and blah 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 blah. I can't be. I mean, one time he disciplined me on Father's Day. So I was like, who does that? Why would you even do that? This is supposed to be your day. You don't love me, you know. So like, I can't say that I always thought he loved me. In the beginning, you try to find little things when you're a kid, But like in hindsight and everything, he's absolutely loved me beyond belief and has showed me that, and that love is so real. And I think one of the many things that makes me love him so much is how much he loves you.
Oh,
like I see that, and I didn't even know the lessons that I was learning on how to love a woman and your wife, like from him. Like I love that he does not play about you.
Yeah.
And I think my wife will say the same thing because it's the only thing I know. Like I mean, I would never let anybody. I'm fierce about protecting her.
Right.
I would never let anybody disrespect her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that can't happen.
Right.
You'd be better off saying something crazy to me than you would be saying something crazy to her. So I think that's the thing. That I honestly I can't. It would just all be. It wouldn't even be a step parent thing. I think that. But I understand all the things you guys did now because, like, I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm turning into my dad. I tell Mariam that all the time because I think about it, I'm like, what would I say? Like, I wish I could have had friends over inside of the house more. Yeah. But then we just had a birthday party when our youngest turned 10. She had 5 little girls over the house, and I told Mariam when they left, I said, I'm never doing this again. And so I'm understanding you. I'm like, my home is my sanctuary. I don't really want a lot of people in here. I can't wear what I want to wear. I got my wave cap on. There's a bunch of little kids running around. I don't want them to tell their parents, hey, he wears that wave cap. Like, it's too much. Like, so I actually understand. Like,
it's the weight of it. It's the weight of the responsibility of somebody else's child.
You got
if they fall down the steps and they get hurt, or if they say Johnny touched me,
anything.
And
then it's like it once again goes right back into that harmony of your home. Because you have other kids that you're responsible for.
Right.
So if that guess comes and messes up the dynamic in any way in your home, you're responsible for your other children's happiness in their home, because that's their house too, you know. So that's a big thing. So I really can't, like you said, I don't by any means think you guys are the perfect parents, but there's a method to the madness. I understand everything that you guys did, and everything that I felt like I didn't get, I felt like it was because of me. Like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, or I would have received that thing. So it just always felt, especially as an adult, I can look back and look at my childhood and know that it was fair, and it made sense. Like even on a discipline level, like if I hadn't have been disciplined the way that I was, I'm scared to know what I would have been.
Wow. Okay.
So enough of it was like necessary. Like you've gotta, it's customized parenting to the child that you have.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that I got exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I remember. I don't know if you remember this. I remember one time. It was an incident, and you had came home and you had told me, you said, you remember crying out to God and saying, I don't even know my dad. And he said, I gave you a father.
Oof.
I handpicked. You remember that?
Oh, I didn't until you just said it.
I handpicked your father for you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
And that touches on a good thing too, because there was a Facebook post and somebody was saying something about stepdads, and I chimed in. And she was like, "Great perspective." I think that there's something to take from that about it being a really beautiful thing. Is the fact that, you know, like your family is given to you, like with a step parent and everything. You've chosen to love each other because you didn't have to.
Right,
So it's
right.
You chose that love, and that feels special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we chose to love each other. We chose to, you know, keep our relationship going after all these years when I'm grown and I don't gotta come back here and I don't live under your roof and everything else. We choose each other, and I think that that's powerful.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I want to ask you, and we've never talked about a lot of this stuff on before, guys. So we're diving into this. Why have you here? And because you know what, we wanted these to be teachable moments for everybody. We're sending this out. We're opening up our lives because we're trying to help other people navigate through this. My thing is, like, we had his, hers, and ours. So to my viewers and the people who having a child with their significant other right now, and so how did you feel when Michael came along?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I'll never forget, call any names.
Yeah.
But one of our siblings told me, like, because I was the youngest. That's what she means by knee baby.
Knee baby.
I was the youngest for years.
Yeah.
And then my half brother Michael was born. And one of our siblings told me, "You're going to be so jealous."
Yeah.
When he gets here. And I not for 1 second have ever been. It's been, and I every year on his birthday I tell him that.
Right.
He's been nothing but a joy. Like I loved being a big brother. I love being a big brother. I love having a little brother.
Yeah.
And most important, with the age gap we have,
which is what's the age
about
gap?
9 years.
It's 9 years.
So I learned so much that I didn't even know about being a dad from being his big brother.
Wow.
Like as the first diaper I changed, and so much stuff, like even to the point where I accidentally, you know, when you're in that parent mode and you accidentally go through the names, I call James Michael.
You sure do.
By accident. I'll be like, Michael, I mean James. You know what I mean? It's like it's like I can feel the connection.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm really really grateful for him, and it's been great to like have somebody. It's a great feeling to have somebody look up to you.
Yeah.
And have somebody call you for advice, and have somebody, you know, and then you hit that point in life because, you know, as you guys have seen, Michael, like now he's a man.
Yeah.
You know, and it's great to see your little brother be able to give you advice, be able to give you wisdom. So like I've loved it, and I don't view him any other way as my 100% brother.
Right.
And, you know, that's a testament to his character too, like, because he's a wonderful person. Like he's a great person. So I have always enjoyed him. Like, I mean, we talk about it to this day. We've literally had 2 disagreements in all of our years.
Wow.
And they were all petty and fizzled out like that. Like we just get along.
But that's the way men too. They kind of
they'll
say what they need to say, and then it's over. Women, we're like, well, I could have told her this, and I could have told her that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do that too. Because I definitely have things where, you know, someone will go down and you're like, oh, I should have said this. Yeah. And another thing I should have said.
So in your mind, or maybe being raised in the same household, you don't feel like there's a step with Michael.
Not at all.
That's your brother.
Not at all. Not at all. Like, because we're half brothers, but like, no, I don't. And that's another thing that is really important, because I'm not in that situation, but that is something that I admire Dad for, is I never felt like he loved Michael more than
right.
I never felt like, well, you love your biological son way more than you love me. You know, like I felt like he was always fair.
He was always
like
fair.
I felt like the same love. I felt the same discipline was coming. And of course, you slow down as you get older. Right. So it's like not quite as harsh. So we kind of broke your head a little bit. Right. So he did have it easier, but I don't think it was because of the biology of it. You know, so yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I do remember that Harvey was always, he cannot stand any favoritism at all. It really, and I can remember, Michael was like, you know how kids like that kicking like that, and Harvey would like, stop kicking your brother. He wouldn't make excuses.
Yeah.
That's why I was telling Mariam, whatever Michael was doing, and if it was wrong, you know, like you'll see some people, they'll make excuses like, oh, he's a baby. Like Michael hit me or Johnny hit me. Oh, he's a baby. Go on, you'll be okay. No, he always laid down the law, and discipline was discipline. Like, no, you will not do that. No, you will not. You know. And another thing I want to say to you, because I think I've said it to you before. Like when I married Harvey, he has always said, and he loved all of our children. Like we just got through talking about that. You know, he doesn't like any type of favoritism. But because Aaron and Tracy was younger, he has always said, those were my babies.
Yeah.
Kind of like you with Mariam. Not that the two older children are not, they are just as important. But when you get them so young,
yeah,
you know, when you get them so young, he's like, those are my babies.
Because it's like you're in all of their memories.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like once you start remembering things, most people probably about 4 or 5, you know, and I've been there that whole time.
Right.
So like, and it's the same.
Right.
For Dad. Like I was 6.
Yeah, I think he was 6. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like all of my earliest memories. Like when I go back, it's like first grade, Miss Constance's class. He was there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like it does play a huge factor in when you come in to someone's life, you know, and I think they still all have that relationship with Dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it definitely is a little different. You know, it's much easier for the younger ones to accept.
Yeah.
Because it's all they know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like when you're in a step situation, especially if the father or mother has the kid on the weekends, they spend more time with me than they do with their dad.
That's very true.
And it's the same thing, unfortunately, with James. Like, but you know, it's like because I get him on the weekends, so it's like he spends more time with his stepdad
than he does with
me.
Right.
You know, and they have a good relationship, but like our bond is tighter. But you know, it is what it is.
So it's quality over quantity.
Yes.
And it has to be that.
And I was worried. Like I remember when we got divorced and she got married, I was like, oh, I don't want another dude around my kid.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 blah. But you quickly, it's kind of like when you have kids. You're like, do you want a boy or girl? Do you want this? Do you want that? And then when it's really time, you're like, I just want him to be healthy.
That's all.
And so with the step parent thing, you're like, oh, I don't want this. I don't want this. And then you get to the point, you're like, I just want them to be a good person.
That's right.
I just want them to not mess with my kid. I want them to not abuse my child in any way, shape, or form. I want him to care for my child.
Right.
And so once that box is checked, then everything else is just irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know?
It works.
Like you just want your kid to be safe.
Yeah.
And not to be mistreated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how. So I'm a stepdad in every way. My son has a stepdad. I have a stepdad. I am a stepdad. So I've seen this in every form or fashion.
It has gone full circle, guys. You know what I mean? And I just want to say here while we're on camera that you're doing an awesome job. You know, Mariam loves you and I love Mariam, and I thought you picked very well.
Why, thank you.
You picked very, very, very well. We have a very good relationship. Not only do we have a good relationship, there's a level of respect.
Yes, for sure. And that's a very important thing in one's relationship. Like, I mean, you can't speak to everybody's parents because you don't know what everybody's been through with their parents or what level their parents are at. But if you have a good relationship with your parents, it makes you love your partner even more when your parents love them. And you can see that relationship they have. Like, I love her parents.
Yeah.
You know, and every time she talks to her mom, she's like, tell Aaron, give Aaron a big hug for me and stuff like that. And that makes me feel great and makes our relationship great because you have that support of your parents and that pours into your relationship. So I love you guys' relationship, and I think that's probably part of the reason why her and I work so well is because she has similar qualities to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that I know how I grew up. I knew what I wanted out of a woman, and I felt like I found that in her because it was similar to what I saw growing up.
Yeah.
And what I wanted. I was like, I know I want that, and I know that this is how a relationship works, and I feel like you guys are on that same wavelength.
Right.
So I think that is also another point. Like, you're, as a parent, your relationship is teaching your kids what they want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You're
what they want and don't want.
Subconsciously teaching them what they want and what they don't want.
Right.
So it's very important. Yeah. Because they're watching to show them like how they want to be loved, how they want to be supported, how they want to be talked to.
Right.
What they'll deal with and what they won't deal with. What's normalcy for them. You know what I mean? Like, I see in our relationship, I see traditions being born in them from us. Like, I love boxing. I watch boxing all the time, and Mariam loves it too, and she watches it with me and everything. And I can see our oldest, Ani, she comes down on fight night and watches the fights with us and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, when she gets married, she's gonna want to watch boxing with her husband because it's like a thing that we all do together. You know what I mean? It'd be something she could talk about with her husband. And being like, I grew up watching tons of boxing with my mom and my stepdad, and that's something she might want.
That's
out of her relationship, and they mirror those things.
They do.
The humor you have and what you have, they're learning from you of what they want and what they don't want.
That's so true.
So you just hope that you're putting more good in than bad.
Yes, for
because
sure.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody.
You know?
No.
But I think that if you're doing your job overall, I think the good is what sticks.
Yeah.
And even if the bad is some bad things, then as you get older, then you just give your parents the grace of being a human.
Yeah. That's right.
You know, and your job as a human is just to always improve. So like, I just think that it'd be easier. It would be harder for a kid to be like, oh, my parent did this wrong to me. And then present day, they're still that person. You know what I mean? Like, I watch you and dad improve every day, you know, grow every day. Like, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Like I was telling Mariam that, I was like, because he is such a good husband, it forces me to be a good wife. You know what I'm saying? Because when you've got somebody that's that really goes out their way, you know what I mean? A good example would be like, if it was Father's Day and I would go to the mall and I look and I don't find anything, then I'm like, oh, I'll just give him some money. But if it was Mother's Day, he would go and look and look and look until he finds something. He would not come home empty-handed, or he wouldn't take the easy road out, like, oh, I'll just give her some money. You know, if he got in his mind that he wants to give a gift, he's going to give a gift. You know what I'm saying? But another thing I've learned, like, too, with my children getting married and being in relationships and stuff too, is to only give advice when you're asked to ask for advice. A lot of times too, like, not you and Mariam, but on another relationship with one of my other kids, when the young lady came to me, I said, and I had to tell my son, I'm going to talk to her woman to woman. Not from the perspective of you being my son. I'm going to give her advice on a woman to woman basis. And you got to know those types of things. Sometimes you're giving advice on a woman to woman basis. Not, we're going to take him out as my son out of the equation. You know what I'm saying?
Though,
it's very important.
Trust, though, because how could I trust your opinion? If I feel that you're biased. Like,
that's true.
It's very important, like, because then they can feel like I can trust what you say because you're not just telling me trying to protect your baby.
Right.
You're telling me
that's right.
the real of what you would do, what you wouldn't do, what you would tolerate, what you wouldn't tolerate.
That's right.
You know, so that's very important, I think, and that creates its own bond between you and the other person.
That's so true.
That's separate from your child.
Yeah, because me and your sibling, I'm gonna say this, was talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember all my girlfriends still wanted to stay in touch with you," and I'm like, "No, I don't want you talking to her no more."
Like, if it's not me, you lose everything.
It's like, "No, I don't want you talking to her no more. Yeah. Why is she calling you? Why is she calling you?"
Right.
Like, and I remember I had an old friend, and she's long since passed away. She was always said this. She said she would tell her daughters-in-laws, "When you get mad at him, don't get mad at me."
Right. Because this is the same. You know, like when you breaking up with the whole family. Yeah. Like, oh man.
So when you're mad at him, just be mad at him. Don't be mad at me. Right. You know. But I remember one scene, like, "Why is she still calling you?" You know. Yeah. Like, because we
formed a relationship.
We formed a relationship.
And that's what it is too with like me and my ex-wife's mom. Like she told her, she's like, "I'm not just because you stopped loving them doesn't mean that I did." And we're close.
Yeah, that's her, right.
You know? And it's a testament to who she is though, because she loves my wife too. And my ex-wife, they hug each other. Like they form their relationship too. Right. But her mom is a good person. Yeah, she's you know what person. I mean? And she's like from the beginning was like you know, and she just like open arms and that's right. You know, and that's and because she loves me too. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard for her to not be happy for me or to not love me. Right. And I think that's what's real.
Yeah. And that goes back to that being that village or that tribe. Right. Because James has all this love around him.
Exactly. And that's what's great for you to get along with the other parent.
It's so important.
Is because if they know that there's love there, they can't mom and pop you, but they also feel subconsciously completely supported. Right. You know, because they have all of these relationships that coexist
and they can't pit you against each other too. Exactly. Like, yeah, mom, she told me so and so and so and so this and that, and she knows that you have a relationship. Yeah. Like Mariam and Sarah has a relationship, so James can't just run anything by them because he knows Mariam can pick up the phone and call Sarah, and Sarah in exchange can pick up the phone and call Mariam and say, "Is this what happened?"
Because with the teens, yes, like you were in real time going through the exact same
at the same
thing,
time. Yeah.
And then you really realize how imperative that village is. Like we all need each other. Yeah. Because it is not easy. And if you actually want the best for these kids, it's important for us all to, as a group effort, be on the same page to help get them through this and navigate the rocky periods. Yeah.
I remember, and at the time when she said it was Jada Pinkett, I will never forget it. I think she was on Oprah's show. And one time when she said that she could not totally embrace Will Smith's son Trey until she had to embrace his mother. Right. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. She put her big girl panties on for that one, boy. I mean, it was like that went right over my head because I haven't had to deal with the other mother. You know what I mean? In the sense, because my kids were grown. So, you know what I mean? I didn't have to deal with her. But to know that people can do that, you have to embrace that mom.
For sure.
You know, I mean, we're not talking about somebody who's toxic and all this crazy stuff, but we're talking about normal, trying to bring a normalcy into a blended situation.
Even when things aren't great on the other end, the kids, this is hard, but they don't need to hear it from you. Right. As the step parent. I try to make sure that I never badmouth their dad. Right. There you go. Because they're going to figure out everything on their own. And I don't want it to come from me. Because then that forces a divide between us. Right. Because you don't want them to have to feel like they have to choose between you and their father.
That's right.
like that creates a weird dynamic, and it's not the child's responsibility.
Right.
And that's so difficult for a child to manage.
Right.
And that shouldn't be their job. They shouldn't have to feel like I'm disrespecting my dad by loving you. So you have to, if they know that you have some form of admiration for their father, then it makes it easier for them to love you as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because my dad likes you. So it's natural that I like you. My dad likes you too.
Right.
You know? So it works out better.
It works
so
out.
It's like they're going to figure out everything. You don't never need to tell a kid who their parent is.
No.
They will learn.
Oh, yeah.
And the truth always comes to the light.
Right.
So whatever it is, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, it comes right back to that picking and choosing who they want to be. Because wherever those shortcomings are, whether that's with their biological dad or with you, they're going to know what they don't like and what they do like, and what take those pieces that they want.
And for me too, because like I said, the kid's dad wasn't in their life. I didn't badmouth your dad or didn't talk about him because I didn't want you guys to feel like that was a part of you.
That was very smart.
Bad, you know what I mean? I wasn't sitting there saying your daddy is this and he's that and he's this and he's that, because he's 50% of them. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to raise good kids here. I'm trying to raise kids with morals and character and to be the best that they can be. Because in my mind, I always knew when they got grown, you were going to find out who he really was.
For sure.
You didn't need me to tell you anything. You were going to figure it out. You were going to see it for yourself, who this person was.
And I think that was genius.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the best blessings that someone can give you. If you're not going to do what you're supposed to do, then get out the way.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thankful, like you said, that I have a clean slate in my mind of who I can be.
Right.
And don't have any attachments to that. And the only model of a man that I have is my father.
Right. That's
so
right.
that was helpful for me.
Yeah. Right. Well, this was good, guys. So, guys, I enjoyed this time here with Aaron, and I hope you guys got some nuggets from it, and I hope that it'll help you on your journey. For those of you who are step parenting and who are in the thick of it, because we know it's not an easy journey, but it can happen, and love will prevail, you know. So don't forget, guys, to like, share, and subscribe. And if this doesn't work for you and you're not in this dynamics, please share it with someone that you know that's going through. And like I say, eat the meat and throw out the bones. We're not here to offend anybody. We're just sharing our own personal experience. And don't forget, Aaron's channel is coming. Pursuing Happiness is coming soon, guys. So this episode will be up this coming Sunday. And after that, we're going to start watching for Aaron's channel. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
So much.
Bye.
Have a good one.